Good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss about another topic in commercial application of animal cell culture. The topic is production of interferon. Okay, production of interferon in animal cells in culture. Before starting with the production of interferon in animal cell culture, you should have an idea what is interferon and what is the advantage of interferon and what is the need of interferon in the commercial production. Commercial production means you would have understood by now. Commercial production means we are producing in large scales. In a big fermenter, so many thousands of liters of media will be prepared, wherein you will be producing, you will be activating the cells to produce a particular pharmaceutically important compound so that you can treat a disease. That is known as the commercial production. Commercial production and laboratory production, it is extremely different, two different ends you can say. Laboratory production means in a small culture vessel, in a conical flask or in a tube, you will be preparing, culturing the cells and activating the cell to produce some of the compound to do some of the studies. Commercial production means all the studies and everything is done and you want to produce or you want to commercialize it for treating various diseases. So this is one of the pharmaceutically important compound which is used for treating most of the viral diseases, and in some of the cancer also we can use this one because virus induced cancers can be treated with the help of the interferon. So first of all we will see what are interferons and how it is produced naturally in the body. Interferons are a group of glycoproteins. These are glycoprotein. What do you mean by glycoprotein? It's a protein which is modified, post-translationally modified by the addition of a glucose moiety. So remember that this cannot be synthesized in the bacterial cell. If you are preparing in bacterial cell, after that you have to modify it for making it functional because bacteria does not have post-translational modification. So this is one of the protein which has to undergo post-translational modification. So we have to depend on eukaryotic system. Interferons are a group of glycoprotein which are secreted from the cells in response to virus infection. Whenever your body is infected with a virus, whether it is a common flu virus, very commonly we will have this viral fever which is called as viral flu, or the recent one COVID-19 or HIV infection or any viral infection. When it happens in the body, your body will start producing this interferons. But the problem with the interferon production naturally is the amount will not be that sufficient to kill the viruses which are entering into the body. Thereby we have to, whenever viral infection is there, we need to produce it in a larger quantity so that we can use it for treating the disease. Okay, so this is interferons are a group of glycoprotein. They are soluble in nature. So they are soluble in the sense they will be present in the circulation and which will activate the cells to induce the formation of antiviral compounds. So they are soluble, secreted from the cells in response to viral infection, and remember that this is coming under innate immune response. There is nothing like one type of interferon for HIV, another interferon for rabies virus, nothing like that. Whichever virus enters, body will start producing interferon. So it is not a specific one, and that is why it is coming under innate immune response. Okay, so if it is a specific interferon for a particular viral infection, then it will come under acquired immunity. This is known as innate immune response. They are non-specific immune response. So whenever viral infection is there, this compound will be produced. There are three different types of interferons which are commonly produced in the body. Naturally, our body cells, immune cells, can produce three different types of interferons. These are interferon alpha, interferon beta, and interferon gamma. In some of the textbooks or in the reference book, when you refer, it will be written as INF. In some of the textbook, it will be written as IFN. So you can write it in any way. We can write it as INF or IFN. Three types are there: alpha, beta, and gamma. Now, interferon alpha is produced by leukocyte. What are leukocytes? These are the WBCs. WBCs produce interferon alpha. Clear? In WBCs produce interferon alpha, whereas what is the next one? Interferon beta. Interferon beta is produced by fibroblast, and interferon gamma is produced by the lymphocytes. So these are the three types. Three different types of interferons are produced by three different types of immune cells. Leukocyte produces alpha, Fibroblast produces interferon beta and lymphocyte produces interferon gamma. Now we are going to see the mechanism of production. Whenever your virus enters into the body, you know the viral replication cycle. Viruses will transfer its genome into the infected cell. The genome will penetrate inside and then it integrates with the host genome, and viral proteins will be synthesized, and then genome will get assembled into the viral capsid protein, and then the viruses will be released out of the infected cell. That is the normal process. Whenever this viral genome enter into the, or when the viruses bind to the receptors which are there on the cell. So all the viral infection, it happens after binding to a particular receptor. Viruses will bind to the receptor and then the genome enters. So whenever the virus bind to the receptor, the cell will get a signal that something foreign particle is binding there. So because we have so many innate immune response, your toll-like receptors, many are there, they will identify some of the innate immune response mechanism of the cell will activate the genome to produce the interferons. Okay, so whenever the viruses are binding there, immediately the cell will get a signal. The outcome of the signaling mechanism is the gene which codes for the interferon production gets activated, and it will start producing the interferon. Once the interferon is produced, interferon will be released out of the infected cell. So this is the infected cell. Simultaneously, viral genome enters inside and it integrates with the host genome. Transcription happens, translation happens, viral protein synthesis will be there, then the capsid assembly, and the viruses release out of the infected cell. So you can see here, these are the new viruses. Now, by the time the new viruses are released out, the neighboring cells, our body, many cells are, so all the cells are attached together, and whenever the infection happens in one of the cell, they will release the interferon. These interferons will activate the neighboring cells that there is something coming for infecting you. That means they will get the interferons will send a signal to the neighboring cells to be active, to be proactive, so that they can prevent the viral infection. So the interferon which is released from the infected cell bind to the receptors, interferon receptors which are there on the neighboring cell. Gene expression happens which will produce antiviral protein, and these antiviral proteins will block the viral replication. So this blue color one is the healthy cell, red one is the infected cell. For your understanding, I have made it, nothing like blue and red is there. So this is the infected cell. Infected cell will send a signal. How will they send the signal? By releasing the interferon. Interferon bind to the receptor which is present on the healthy cell. Healthy cell will get the signal and antiviral proteins will be synthesized which will block the viral replication. I'll explain it once again. Whenever your body cells are infected with viruses, viruses will bind to some of the receptors for the infection process to happen. Whenever it binds there, a cell signaling mechanism will happen which will activate the production of interferons. Interferons will be released out of the infected cell. So simultaneously, meantime, what is happening? The viral infection cycle proceeds. What are the steps in viral infection cycle? Release of the genome, integration of the genome with the host genome, and then the transcription, translation, viral protein synthesis, assembly and release. That will be happening by the time the new viruses are released out of the infected cell, interferons will send a signal to the healthy cell. So interferon will bind to the receptors which are there on the healthy cell, and healthy cell gene expression happens and they will start producing antiviral protein. The function of the antiviral protein is they will block the viral replication. Now the important point to remember is during the viral infection, the capsid proteins will stimulate the production. So you can see here I have written very clearly the capsid protein which are there on the viral surfaces, they will activate the production of interferon. The gene which codes for the interferon, that is located in chromosome number 5. Okay, so that gene will get activated and interferon production happens, and interferon which is absorbed by the healthy cell. You can see here interferon which is absorbed by the healthy cell will activate the production of antiviral protein. So interferon, what is the function of interferon? Which will send a signal to the healthy cell to produce antiviral protein. Okay, now the antiviral protein, the gene which codes for antiviral protein, they are located on chromosome number 21. Interferon genes are present on chromosome number 5 and antiviral protein genes are present on the chromosome number 21. Clear? So this is the normal process of interferon production. And as I told you earlier, the interferon which is produced by this method is not sufficient to eradicate or remove the virus completely from the body. Now, what do they do? Well, how can you produce it in a larger scale? For that purpose, two methods are there. One method was actually earlier method wherein they used to produce the interferon commercially by culturing the WBCs isolated from the human blood, and they used to expose it to Sendai virus. So that was the first method. What was the method? Isolate the lymphocytes from the blood, because you can see here lymphocytes produces interferon gamma. So they used to separate the lymphocyte from the blood and culture the lymphocyte and infect the lymphocytes with the Sendai virus. You know Sendai virus, you must have, if you remember, no, Sendai viruses are the viruses which are used for the cell fusion technique. So Sendai virus, inactivated Sendai virus, they used to use for activating the gene expression in the cultured lymphocyte. So isolation of the lymphocyte and infect the lymphocyte with inactivated Sendai virus. So whenever the viral infection or when the viral capsid protein bind to the cell, the gene expression happens and it will start producing, the cell will start producing the interferon. But the problem with this method was interferon, the amount of interferon which was produced was very, very less, and because the amount of interferon is extremely low and purification process was highly sophisticated, thereby they stopped using that particular method. So nowadays, recently, two methods are used. In the method 1, that is one of the method which is generally used now for the production of interferon, and the method 2, that is the most widely accepted method. So this is another method similar to that of the earlier method of interferon production, but the cell line and the virus which is used is different. Okay, because of this, the production level is very, very high, they say. Many research articles are there about this production process. It's a very simple method, and the rate of the product formation, the amount of product formation is too high. That is why they are using this method. Only in some of the article, the explanation is given. So the gist of that method is we have to use a cell line. The cell line which is exclusively used for the production of this interferon is HT1376. That's a bladder carcinoma cell line. HT1376, bladder carcinoma cell line. First you need to culture a confluent growth of the cell line. Cell line you need to culture, activate the cell culture process. Once you get the confluent culture of the this bladder carcinoma cell line, you can transfer this one into the after getting the proper growth of the HT1376, you have to infect the cells with the virus. What is that virus? Blue tongue virus. So usually this blue tongue virus is a non-harmful virus, you can say. They are not very virulent one. They will infect the cattle. Okay, usually the cattle will be infected with the blue tongue virus. The symptoms of this particular infection is the cattle will have excess of salivation, and inflammation can be seen on the tongue and on the mouth part. Thereby the tongue and the mouth part will be little bluish in color. That is why this virus is called as the blue tongue virus. Excessive sweating can be seen, so much of salivation and inflammation in the tongue and on the mouth part. So that virus is used for the production of interferon. Viruses are used as the inducer. You know why inducers are used? Because whenever viral infection happens, then only the cells will start producing the interferon. So the cell line which is used is bladder carcinoma cell line, and the virus which is used, which will act as an inducer, is blue tongue virus. And once after infecting the cells with the blue tongue virus, we need to transfer the cells into a large scale production system, that is your fermenter, airlift fermenter, or there are many different types of fermenters are there. Into that you need to transfer the cells in a larger volume of the media, and then allow the production process to happen. So during that process, because we are already infected the cells with the blue tongue virus, the cell line will start producing the interferon. The efficiency of this method, according to the research article, they say that it is 10,000 to 6,000 units per ml of the media. And once the product is ready, you can inactivate the virus with the help of the UV light. light. So you have to pass UV light into the media, thereby the viruses will be killed. Once the viruses are killed, you can purify the protein interferons from the media. Okay, so downstream processing you need to follow. That is one of the method. A recent one you can say. Earlier also they used to use the same method, but with the lymphocyte culture and Sendai virus, the efficiency was very less. Then they started using this method. But recently they are using this method for the production of interferon. Cell line used is HT1376. It's a bladder carcinoma cell line. Virus used is BTV. Efficiency is 10,000 to 6,000 units per ml. Now the other method which is used in most of the lab for the production of interferon is first thing is you need to culture the fibroblast cells. Fibroblast will produce interferon beta. So I have given an example of fibroblast. You can culture the lymphocyte or leukocyte. Any WBC can be cultured in the in vitro culture condition. Once you get the proper growth, if any, you have to look for contamination and you know what all things you need to do when you maintain a cell culture. You have to infect the cells with the Sendai virus. The same old Sendai virus is used here. Sendai virus is used for the infection. So once you infect the cells with the inactivated Sendai virus, the gene expression happens, and the chromosome number 5 gene gets activated, and mRNA production will be there. That means the gene expression process happens, transcription happens. Once the cell will start producing the mRNA in enough amount, you have to isolate the mRNA with the oligo-DT column. You know the oligo-DT column because last semester I taught you how to separate mRNA by using an oligo-DT column. So you have to use a column chromatography chamber. You need to fill the column with the, what are the steps involved in it? You have to use a column chromatography chamber. The column is filled with the Cephadex bead. What is there on the Cephadex bead? Cephadex bead will have the poly DT tail. A small DT tail will be there. So when you pass a solution containing mRNA through this oligo-DT column, since it has this oligo-DT, the A tail, poly A tail of the mRNA bind with that, and then you can separate the mRNA from the oligo-DT column by doing a process called as salting out mechanism. This you have studied very well in the last semester. I think I know that all of you are thorough with the mRNA isolation, and if you can include that particular diagram here, isolation of mRNA by using oligo-DT column. So once you separate the mRNA by using oligo-DT column, you get the mRNA, and then you have to go for the cDNA synthesis. And you know why we are using cDNA? Because cDNA is complementary DNA, which will not be having any non-coding sequence. This will be with coding sequences. That is why we go for the cDNA isolation, better than that of the genomic DNA. So the enzymes which are needed for the production of cDNA is reverse transcriptase, which will synthesize the complementary DNA. Then you have to lyse the RNA by using RNase enzyme, because once after using reverse transcriptase, you get a mRNA RNA DNA hybrid. Then you have to degrade the RNA by using RNase enzyme. Once the RNA is degraded, you can use DNA polymerase enzyme. DNA polymerase enzyme will start synthesizing the complementary DNA, and thereby you get double-stranded cDNA. Once you get the double-stranded cDNA, you can ligate, or you can do the restriction digestion of the vector. Expression vectors are used so that the level of production will be high. Into the expression vector, you need to insert the cDNA. You get a recombinant DNA. Recombinant DNA in the sense foreign DNA combined with the vector DNA, and then transfection into the cell line. You are doing the transfection, and transfection, any method can be used. What are the methods of transfection? Electroporation is there, liquefaction is there, chemical methods are there. Any one of the method can be used for introducing this recombinant DNA into the cultured cell lines. Okay. And once you introduce the foreign DNA into the cultured cell line, you have to go for the large scale culturing, wherein you need to use a fermenter for the production of interferons in larger quantity. And then the last process is downstream processing. Once you verify the product, you can go for the freeze drying method. Thereby you get a completely dried product, interferon product. So that can be used for treating the viral diseases. Clear? So this is the interferon production. It's a very, very simple topic. Last class, whatever I taught you, that is tissue plasminogen activator. The production process is similar. The only thing is, whenever you are writing about the production of any of the pharmaceutical important compound, the important aspect that you need to remember is you have to write a paragraph about that particular compound, why it is, how it is produced, and what is the use. All those things you need to write, and then you have to concentrate on the production process. So this is the first production process is by using bladder carcinoma cell line. Inducer is BTV, that is blue tongue virus. Method 2 is the most widely used method. This still people are doing the research, and still acceptance is needed, but this is the most efficient method because you are using mRNA, which is isolated from a active cell line, because you are activating the cultured fibroblast for the production of interferon by infecting with Sendai virus. Then you are making a cDNA and recombinant DNA formation, then transfection into the cell line, large scale culturing, and downstream processing. You get a pure form of the interferon that can be used for treating any viral diseases like COVID-19 treatment or HIV infection or rabies infection. Any viral infection can be treated with the help of this interferon compound. So interferons are named as interferon because they interfere with the viral replication and protect the body. Why interferons are known as why interferons are called so? Because they interfere with the viral replication and protect the body, thereby these are called as the interferons. So they play a very, very major role in eradicating the viruses from the body. Okay, so please go through the topic. There will not be any doubts, I think. If any doubts are there, you can ask me and I will clarify it. Thank you.